Silent claps. Woo! Thanks, Anna. I appreciate you so much, all the work you do for Art House. It's good to be with you all tonight. Like Anna said, worship pastor, singer-songwriter in Arlington, Dallas-Fort Worth, right in the middle. Arlington's there in Texas here. And when I was thinking about tonight, I sent a couple ideas to Anna, and one was something I had taught on actually at my church recently on like biblical themes and finding the main idea of a piece of literature and how that connects to different ideas. And I was like, this is really cool. Or I can talk about music theory. And Anna was like, that's super exciting. Why don't you talk about music theory? So I'm talking about music theory tonight, and might get another time to look at that other idea sometime down the road. But the more I thought about it, I do think music theory is so helpful, and wherever you're at, it's helpful. I promise. And here's the kind of on-ramp analogy I want to use, and then just to kind of give you a heads up, I'm really going to be talking about harmony. I'm going to be talking about chords. We could talk about so many different things with music theory, but realistically in like 15 minutes, I really just want to give you some overview, maybe reminders on how we even get to chords and chord progressions, and then a couple tips that I hope will be helpful for you in your songwriting. But just to give a little maybe apology for music theory, so to speak, is I think all art in one sense could be boiled down to storytelling. In whatever you're doing, you're trying to communicate something really meaningful. And so using an example of like photography or film, you're trying to capture something really beautiful, really true, and present it in a particular way from a particular perspective. And you don't have to be a camera maker to do that. You don't have to understand every mechanical aspect of that camera. But as we grow in knowing how to use it and certain features and things like that, we can probably grow in how we present or tell that story, how we present that truth or beauty in an artful way. And I think music theory is the same way. So my hope again is that we'll maybe add just a couple more thoughts, maybe remind a couple things of high school or college theory classes or whatever that is, and grow together. So let me get, my face is too big, but I'm going to scroll, or I'll change the view actually for your faces, but you can keep it the same way, Anna. But just give me like a quick, like for my sake, like 1 to 5 using your hand on music theory, your comfort level, how good of a grasp. One being like major scale, what's that? 5 being like, I love it, it's nerdy, I've got a Neapolitan chord in my song tonight. Like give me a 1 to 5. Where are you at? Some 3s, 4. Okay, yeah. Y'all are. This is awesome. I feel like we're on the same space, which makes me nervous, but I really do. I hope I can offer a few helpful thoughts here. So let's kind of just again by way of a reminder, I think for most of us, right? Let's really just start with the major scale. Yeah, let's sing a G major scale, just on duh on that syllable. Da 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 da. 1, 2, sing it with me. Da 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 da. And the people in the room or in your house are thinking you're kind of weird. That's fine. So that's where we're at. Okay. We have a basic idea of this journey that this basic little building block of music takes us on from 1 to 8, which is really just 1 again, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8/1. We're there again, okay? So again, this is simple stuff, but I'm gonna share a screen, give you a little bit of something to look at. Y'all see that? This guy right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back at 1 using G. Everybody see that? That's cool. Okay, awesome. Yeah. See, not rocket science here. Let's sing it, but let's change the duh to the numbers, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Let's feel really silly and do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Awesome. Again, you're feeling pretty silly right now, probably, especially the like 3s to 5s. I get it. I'm with you, but we need to be reminded of that and not to miss the point. Again, even that little major scale is taking us on a journey through the notes of a particular scale, and in this case, where we're headed, of a particular key that'll help us build chords based on those notes so that we can then build chord progressions that will help us communicate some sort of truth or beauty or idea. Okay, so let's go into the next idea. Right, once we have those notes, this may be where, if you're kind of the 1 to 3 kind of range, I'm jumping a few steps in theory here. But we're building basic chords off of each of those notes in a major scale, right? And chords at their core, at their most basic sense, are really just two sets of thirds. It's a basic tonic, home, whatever you want to call it, note. In this case, 1. You're adding a third and a fifth above that. Again, this is pretty basic level stuff for a lot of us, but it's good to remember as we're putting together what chords then belong in this key. Okay, so that scale helps us do that. So let's sing it again, and I'm just gonna play some chords and walk it up with us. Okay, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1. Let's do it again. 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1. Again, nothing crazy. Are we all kind of on the same page here? We're walking through, just taking a major scale. We're getting a sense of the key, and we're adding the chords that correspond with each of those notes. And now we've got, again, I'm ignoring the 7 as you can see on the page here on that little diagram, but we've got 6 basic chords that give us a pretty good sense of our tools in this toolbox if we were writing in the key of G. If we want to go to A, D, C, whatever, we're going to use the same relationships between the notes to build the chords to get the same idea. 1 2 3 4 5 6 and sometimes 7. Just a note there too, naturally when you're focusing on those 6 chords, you have 3 major chords and 3 minor chords. So if you ever heard the term like diatonic, like key, diatonic chords, that's the idea. It's those 2 tonal centers, major and minor, that we're putting together to build these chords within this key. So again, G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, and E minor. Okay, rocketing through all this, here's what I'm really getting to. Once we have this idea of what tools are in the box, I think maybe a lot of us, and I'm talking about myself really, I feel like it's easy for me to kind of, I'm done there. I have these different chords, and I'm just going to start using them as I start writing. I'm going to start with a lyric, I'll start with a different hook or idea or this cool little progression between these 2 chords, and then I'll start kind of mashing things together and seeing what happens. But have you ever listened to a song or an artist that makes you like want to quit, or that makes you feel like, oh my gosh, how did they do that with just those same 6 chords? You know that feeling? Well, I think a lot of times what theory can help us do, again, just like the camera in photography or something like that, is when we can learn from one another. We can learn from artists who have done something unique or really interesting about the way they move in and out of chords. And as we look back retrospectively and attach a little music theory to it, I think we can get to a place where we have a little bit more understanding that it's not just tools in a box, but they have a relationship with one another. So this is the last diagram I'm going to land on here, and it's this flow chart of how these chords in the key relate to one another. Quick show of hands, is this a familiar chart? Does this seem like a different language? Hand up for this is familiar. Okay, cool. I'm rolling through things. Okay, so I know I'm going super quick here again for those that this is unfamiliar to you. But basically what this is, ignore the arrows from now and just look at how the chords move from left to right. Okay, when we're writing a song, we're in some kind of a key. Again, we're trying to take someone on a particular journey to try to communicate some idea. And most of the time, there's great songs that just use 1 and 4 and 5, and that's really it. If you're in the key of G and C and D, there's a lot of hymns that you can pull off with just those 3 chords. And that's a great thing because they've been put together to try to communicate a very basic musical journey. 1, 4, 5, 1. 1, 4, 5, maybe a 6, then back to 1. That idea. What this chart does for me, helpfully, is to help me when I feel stuck in a rut, to look at other chord options that can help me make that journey that I'm creating in a chord progression more interesting. Okay, so if I'm just doing again, even if I'm just covering a hymn, writing a song, and I'm in the key of G and I'm playing 1, 4, and 5, and that's really the only chords that I'm doing. Well, if you look in that first box there where the 4 is, the Roman numeral there, it also has a 2 in it. So 2 can do a very similar thing as 4, is what that chart is saying. And what that helps me understand is that if I have a chord progression that, say, is just 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, back and forth, that at some point I might want to look through my lyrics and say, okay, is there a point that I want to change the emphasis here? I want to say something a little different here that's going to stand out from the rest of the moment of this verse or of this chorus. Well, I might want to swap out the 4 for the 2. Might want to play an A minor instead of a C there, right? There's a similar idea even with like the 3, the B minor, and the 1. There's a lot of really wonderful things you can do just by swapping out some of those chords as well. Let me throw in one more idea here, and then I just want to show you a couple examples of how I've done this, because I promise you, with all the charts and all that kind of stuff, like when I pulled these up today to put up here, I was getting some flashbacks to college 10 years ago and theory classes I probably didn't remember nearly enough of. But again, I think there's some of this stuff that we can really use well that's really helpful, that just changes the way that we use these chords. So one more idea here that's helpful. You see the chords in the flow chart and how they relate to one another. Another thing that we can do with just the same chords is changing the inversion. Change the way that they're shaped, right? So I was saying that earlier, chords are basically built on 1, 3, and 5, right? And so going back up to this idea, you can see that just that G, that one chord, is built on those 3 notes, G, B, and D. Well, if I wanted to invert that, all I have to do is make another note in that chord hold the weight. So instead of putting G on the bottom, a first inversion would put B on the bottom, right? It'd put that 3rd there, and it's going to hold the weight in a different way. Anytime you're playing a song where you've got a G and then later on a G over B, that's all that is. It's just a first inversion. You can do that kind of a thing to a lot of different chords. So I just want to put that forward to you as well as a helpful thing. So that's my casserole of super quick lightning theory reminders, jumping all the way to this flow chart. Now let me try to throw some more organized tips your way and then give an example for you, okay? So if you're feeling stuck on chord progressions, if you're feeling like you're doing the same old thing, if you're feeling like you really want to communicate something really really deep, really different in a song that you're writing, has a different lyric, a different theme, but you're stuck on the chords, here's a couple things. One, sounds really simple, but just use different chords or the same chords differently between the different sections of your song. So again, like I was saying with this flow chart, if you've got a lot of 1s and 4s, use this chart and okay, change out that 4 for a 2 every once in a while. Change out that 1 for a 3, or that 1 for a first inversion, a 1 over 3 chord. Use different chords to add intrigue and interest to the story that you're telling through your chord progression in your songs. One thing that I think is really fun to do, if you write a song that has a particular emotion, and you know a musician, take away all the lyrics and give them just the chord progression and have them guess like what's the theme of this song. I know that sounds kind of crazy, and obviously there's a lot of songs that doesn't quite work on, but I think it's a good exercise to again say, okay, what story am I telling through the chords that I'm putting together for this song to support the main idea, to support the melody, and to support the lyrics. So use different chords or use the same chords differently between different sections of your song. Already mentioned trying out different chord inversions. Let me just give you a quick example. One of my favorites. This is Tomorrow is a Long Time by Bob Dylan. A really simple song. It really is just using those 3 chords, 1, 4, and 5. But listen to, I'll show you where there's this inversion that happens, okay? If today was not an endless highway, if tonight was not a crooked trail. Here's a first inversion. If tomorrow wasn't such a long time, then lonesome would mean nothing to me at all. So did you catch that? I don't know how well the audio is coming across, but even just by changing from that C chord to putting the third of that chord on the bottom, that guy, it adds this emotional weight to it that's climbing back up to the tonic again. And you notice that happens on the hook of the song. If tomorrow wasn't such a long time. That's the title of the song. So there's something special you can do with just chord inversions there. Let me give a couple more here. Let me just say too, challenge yourself to add a chord that you don't normally use. Most of us are going to use 1, 4, 5, 6, 2. We're going to skip outside of that key. We may go to a different key or that kind of thing, borrow different chords. So if that's you, try a minor 3. Try to delay using the 1 chord in your song for as long as possible, and see if that tells a different story in your writing, in your chord progressions. That can be really, really helpful. And one next step from that, challenge yourself to change keys in the song too. That's feels bonkers, feels wild. It may even feel kind of like old school, like every Baptist hymn that we sang in my church growing up anyways, right? The last verse or the last chorus was always like a step higher. And that can feel pretty outdated, but there are so many great songs that still last that I think they're awesome because they change keys. I'm on Your Side, Andrew Osing, a great song, changes key in the last chorus, wonderful song. The classic, like Over the Top, literally, song that I love that does this is Beyonce's Love on Top, right? Changes keys like 18 times because that's the idea. That's the theme of the song being communicated as it continues to climb higher and higher. It's not just so Beyonce can sing that like super insane high note. It's communicating this idea, right? Yeah, so use different chords, try out different inversions. When something feels old, go to that flow chart, diatonic chord flow chart. Google that. I can send this along if that's unfamiliar to you. And just challenge yourself to add additional chords that you're not familiar with. Use these things to help you just move the needle a little bit further in the way you creatively communicate a story through your songwriting. That's the goal of all this. Hope there is something helpful that sticks. If so, great. If anything else, then I hope you forget it at least and remember what's helpful. But let me show you just one song if it's cool. Let me play a song of mine for you. And I feel like I was wrestling with this. So I'll tell you what I was thinking through, and then hopefully you can listen through and hear it. So I had a lot of songs that would use the 1 and 4 chord a lot. Okay. Cool. So a lot of, that's the idea, right? My guitar is kind of out of tune, but there we go. So I felt stuck in that rut. So one thing I just simply did is I used that chord inversion in all the verses of this song. It's called More Than the View. I went from the 1 to the 4, and then instead of going back to the 1, I just used the first inversion, right? Nothing really crazy, but it still felt like it was pretty old. So instead, for the bridge, instead of using the 1, I went to the minor 3, and I hung out on that. And as I kept writing the song, I really wanted to say something deeper about the meaning of this song, More Than the View, that being with somebody is better than being in some beautiful place. That's the main idea of this song. So there's a line in the bridge that I was like, ooh, what if instead of the minor 3, I go to this different flat 3, this like ugly chord that it doesn't really belong, and then how do I get out of it? Basically, is the problem I came up with there. So. Yeah, and I got out of it by going to the 5 after that. So let me play this song for you. I hope you can hear some of those things and just get an idea. I'm still learning, y'all, and so hopefully this will show a few things, and then we can share songs tonight. But this is More Than the View. There are places in
cosmos where there's beauty in the corners. Many dreamers become foreigners to see, 'cause their homes had all the problems, only leaving didn't solve them. Will you help me? I don't wanna be deceived. 'Cause if you're not there, then I don't need it. If you won't come along, I don't wanna walk by. So if you're still here, please don't leave. 'Cause I wanna be with you more than the view. Out of fire, heard you calling. In my failures, I was falling, but you knew it, so you came round to declare. Bringing pavement, shutting shutters, closing doorways, opening others. Now I'm thankful, 'cause I'm looking up ahead. 'Cause if you're not there, then I don't need it. If you won't come along, I don't wanna walk that way. So if you're still here, please don't leave. 'Cause I wanna be with you more than the view. More than the view. Won't you find me in this moment? Take these hands and lead me only where you are. 'Cause to be honest, I feel broken. I've been searching, I've been hoping. If you're moving, will you stop and show me where? 'Cause if you're not there, then I don't need it. If you won't come along, I don't wanna walk that way. So if you're still here, please don't leave. 'Cause I wanna be with you more than the view.
There you go. Thanks so much, y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Graham. And I will put you guys in your groups now. Enjoy, have fun, learn some stuff. Woo!